Sorry, didn't see you there. I was just reading a little bit about the short history of nearly everything. All right, so today I thought we would address the question of, does this Alberta draft curriculum work? Can we just keep pieces of it that are working and throw out the rest, or just rework the rest that isn't working? And I wanted to look at this as a whole. So we're going to look at what's called horizontal and vertical alignment. So grab your pen, paper, quill, whatever you like to write or code with so you can take some notes. And let's do a deep dive here. I'm going to start with the old curriculum. And as you can see here, it starts with in kindergarten. I'm looking at social studies because I think a lot of people are familiar with that. So it starts in kindergarten with just a little bit about you as a child, moves into your home, your school, your community in the past, community in the world. And you can just see already there's a theme developing and we're building upon that knowledge. So that is vertical alignment. And it continues on with the rest of the grades here. So we've got the history of Alberta, the history of Canada, and then we delve a little bit into ancient history, looking at ancient Athens and how democracy evolved. We're also getting a little bit more complex with what we're thinking about with social structures and political participation. So again, you can see that it's building upon itself. So that's what we call vertical alignment. I've done my best to look at this in the new curricula. So first thing I want to draw our attention to is the fact that they have moved things around from different grades is a little bit of a red flag already, because by moving pieces from previous grades and rearranging them, like everything kind of loses its alignment. So in grade 1, content formerly in grade 6 or higher is moved to grade 1, and grade 2, again, you can pause your screen whenever, content from grade 6 and up is also moved to grade 2. Content in grade 4 and 7 is now moved to grade 3. And in grade 4, content from grade 6 is moved here. Grade 5, content from grade 6 and 9 is moved to grade 5. And then again, in grade 6, content from grade 9 is now moved to grade 6. So already we're trying to bring a lot of things in, but there's no real reason for how it's going to build upon itself. And we're going to look a little bit more at the themes now in each grade. So again, the old curriculum had that vertical alignment of starting with the kid, the community, and getting a bigger picture as we look into Alberta and then Canada and then ancient history. Here in the draft curriculum, we have in kindergarten, it looked like they're trying to build the foundations by just having an assortment of a lot of different parts of social studies. So economics, history, geography. And so you can see that with the timeline, the maps, and how money works. I'm not going to get into all the issues inside of this. This is just strictly looking at how it aligns. If we could just change it so it's a developmentally appropriate, would it work? It still just doesn't align. And we're going to see that here because right from kindergarten, we've set the foundations and we're jumping into ancient history, social structure, and governance. So we haven't really built those skill sets for knowledge for students to learn about that. We haven't talked about even their community or a community in the past, like in the old curriculum, just straight into ancient civilizations. Grade 2, also ancient civilizations, world religions, cultural practices, and exchange of money. So there's an argument there, well, ancient history or ancient civilizations in grade 1 could be expanded in grade 2. It's a fair argument, but the other critique of that, of course, is it's not developmentally appropriate. Grade 3, we're moving into the colonies and New France. And you can see in my sidebar here, again, you've got your foundations, ancient history, and now Canadian history. So that could be rearranged so that students are familiar with, starting with what they're familiar with and then moving into what they're not, but that's not the order in this curriculum. Grade 4, historic Alberta. Grade 5, Canadian history. And grade 6, Canadian and American history, world religion, etc. So this latter part of the curriculum, it's a little bit like the old curriculum because in grade 4, they do learn about Alberta. Grade 5, they do learn about Canadian history. In grade 6, there's a little bit of overlap here. I think I saw some stuff related to the political system, but a lot of it has been moved from grade 9. So there is a little bit of alignment there, but they haven't built the foundations in the early grades, which is going to make trying to tackle grades 4, 5, and 6 very difficult. So that's vertical alignment. We can see this going back to the old curriculum. It's even within subjects. So in grade 6, there's some vertical alignment within social studies itself. So even though we're looking at ancient history and democracy and decision making, it's all part of one big theme. And I'm going to narrow in on this general outcome here. So we've got how to make decisions. So we start in just one subject, building that vertical alignment with how do you make decisions? How do organizations make decisions? So like how do Girl Scouts make decisions? How does your soccer association make decisions? We look at the First Nations Association, Métis Association, Francophone Association. How are decisions made by groups of people? And then we go into local government, how they make decisions, provincial, and then briefly touch upon charter rights in a more federal way, but it all kind of wraps it in together. So you can see all of this has one clear focus for the kids. They're able to make connections throughout and build that knowledge even within one grade. And I wanted to show this vertical alignment within one of my old lesson plans, and I'm going to zero in on local government. So one of the lessons I had was I had the students create a website for a city, town, or village. And they had to choose who the counselors would be and how they're chosen. So by looking at all the different ways that we can make decisions and choose our leaders, they can draw from what they've learned in the previous units to decide which ones they like the most for this. So that's a really high level of critical thinking. It doesn't require memorizations of how each system works. They're able to reference them. But what I wanted to focus in on this unit here was, what makes a good counselor and the process of that. And the same thing with the mayor. And then we look at the budget and we look at the bylaws, we look at designing a welcome sign for the town. Now, all of this takes a very long time to get to. So it might seem quite simple while you're looking at it, but it's usually 3 months of building upon already the basics within that grade, social studies. Now, I'm going to shift here to horizontal alignment. And what that means is that what you're learning in one subject translates and works across all subjects. And as you can see in this assignment here, I'm going to get the students to describe their mayor and describe their town largely as well. And that builds upon the knowledge that they're learning in grade 6. So in English or language arts, we're going to look at a lot of different websites and how they present information in media and text. And students are going to learn, okay, so what information is important to include in this and how is it presented? So they're not going to include information on like, what's the mayor's favorite type of food? They're going to look at, what's important and what do I need to convey? And that's in 2 different outcomes here. So they've looked at it and now they're going to do it themselves. So already that's some horizontal alignment because what I'm teaching in social studies, they've also been able to connect to what they're learning in LA. It also connects to their number sense. So in grade 6 math, they're learning numbers that are greater than 1 million. And what I've done in this lesson plan here is they've got a budget of $100 million. And so within that, they're having to figure out how to make things add up to 100, and they can make this as complex as they want, going down to the dollar, or they can just make it nice whole numbers that are just millions, and that allows for differentiation within this assignment too. But again, it connects on the horizontal level because what they're learning in social, they're also going to be able to draw upon the math skills. And then finally, the last part of this assignment is developing a welcome sign for their town. And I've drawn that in from the grade 6 math, where they're looking at symbolic representations. So what's important in your town? What do you want to, how can you visually represent that? So in contrast, if we look at the new curriculum, the horizontal alignment just isn't there. And I'm going to give just one example of that. again, back into grade 6. This is just a screenshot from another critique that I've done. And that was, the critique here was that the number sense wasn't fully developed. So in the new curriculum, they're asking students to create a pie graph. And I've done a quick search of that in this curriculum and the new one in grade 6, and there is no mention of what a pie graph is. And to create a pie graph, you could just punch in numbers into a website, and it's not going to involve a lot of understanding, but they could just develop a pie graph from technology. But if you want like a mathematical connection, you're going to have to be teaching the students about angles and about percentages. And they are introduced to that in grade 6, but not together. And it's a very complex thing to teach. A lot of kids struggle with both of those topics of angles and percentages. So it doesn't have that horizontal alignment or vertical alignment. And that's the biggest concern, because if we're looking at this and we want to use a metaphor for it, and I really apologize to all my carpenters out there because I might be getting this completely wrong, but even if you have all the materials to build a house, you're not going to be putting the roof in the basement. You're not going to be moving the windows around. You're going to have to make it structurally sound. And this just does not appear to have it. So I hope that makes sense. And that's just another take on why this draft curriculum cannot simply be edited. It needs to be rewritten, reorganized. And I'll leave you to explore the other critiques. And thank you for listening.